Emily Thompson stood at the massive window of the space station, watching the swirling colors of nearby nebulas. Her heart beat faster as she adjusted her diplomatic uniform. The artificial gravity was set too low for her liking, making her feel light and uncomfortable. But she knew she had to get used to it. This was the Galactic Council's central station, and she was humanity's first ambassador. The door behind her opened with a soft hiss. A tall, blue-skinned alien with 4 arms entered the room. "Ambassador Thompson, the Council is ready for you," it said in perfect English, thanks to the universal translator. Emily nodded and took a deep breath. She had practiced for this moment for months. As she walked down the long hallway, she could feel the stares of various alien species. Some looked like walking trees, others like giant butterflies, and a few were just clouds of gas in containment suits. The main chamber of the Galactic Council was enormous. Hundreds of different species sat in rising tiers around a central platform. Emily noticed how delicate they all looked. Their bodies were thin and fragile, adapted to worlds with much lower gravity than Earth. High Counselor Bloomist floated down from the highest tier. The alien looked like a morning mist given form, with hints of blue swirling within its transparent body. "So this is Earth's representative." The words carried a tone of dismissal. "Rather solid, aren't you?" Emily smiled politely, remembering her training. "Yes, High Counselor. Humans evolved on what you might call a high-gravity world." Murmurs spread through the chamber. One delegate, looking like a giant praying mantis, leaned forward. "You mean you actually developed on a death world? How uncivilized." "We prefer to call it Earth," Emily said calmly, though she could feel her patience being tested. "And yes, our planet's gravity is roughly 3 times what you consider standard." The council members shifted uncomfortably. A plant-like being near the front actually moved its pod backward a few inches. High Counselor Bloomist's form rippled with what Emily guessed was disgust. "Well, we suppose we must accept your credentials, primitive though your species may be. Humanity will be granted observer status only. After all, we can't have barely civilized primates from a death world having any real power here." Emily's hand tightened slightly on her datapad, but her face remained pleasant. She had expected this kind of reception. "Thank you, High Counselor. Earth looks forward to learning from the Galactic Council's great wisdom." The words tasted bitter in her mouth. As she took her assigned seat, specially reinforced to handle her unusual mass, Emily noticed something interesting. While most council members seemed dismissive or fearful, a few watched her with careful, calculating eyes. They weren't afraid. They were studying her. One of them, a reptilian being with iridescent scales, caught her attention particularly. Unlike the others, it showed no fear when she walked past. Instead, it made a gesture that its species probably thought was subtle, a quick hand movement to its aid, followed by rapid note-taking. Emily pretended not to notice, but her mind was already working. Back on Earth, they had predicted this reaction. Humanity's strength, endurance, and resilience were far beyond what these species considered normal. They saw humans as brutish monsters from a nightmare world, but that was their mistake. They didn't understand that Earth's harsh conditions hadn't just made humans strong. They had made humans clever, adaptable, and innovative. These beings thought they were dealing with simple brutes. They would learn differently, hopefully before they did anything foolish. As the council meeting began, with discussions about trade routes and border disputes, Emily typed a careful message on her secured datapad. "First impressions confirmed. Proceeding as planned." She sent it to Earth Command, then settled in to listen and learn. The real work was just beginning. The council had no idea what they were dealing with. They saw a primitive species from a death world, but they missed something crucial. Humans hadn't just survived their harsh world. They had mastered it. And if the council chose to become hostile, they would learn exactly why Earth's creatures were so respected and feared throughout known space. But for now, Emily would watch, learn, and plan. After all, humanity had gotten very good at playing the long game. They had all the time in the world to show these beings just how primitive they weren't. Commander James Russell stood at the control center of Earth's Defense Command, his face grim as he studied the holographic display. Red dots blinked across the solar system, showing unauthorized alien ships moving closer to Earth's space. "Sir," Lieutenant Mark Peters called out, "we've detected 3 more ships entering the Kuiper Belt. They're using stealth technology, but our new sensors caught them anyway." James walked over to the lieutenant's station. "Send me the data, and get me a secure line to Ambassador Thompson." He didn't like this one bit. The aliens thought their ships were invisible, but humanity had been preparing for years. The screen lit up with Emily's face. She looked tired after 3 weeks at the Galactic Council. "Commander Russell, I was about to call you." "We've got uninvited guests, Ambassador," James said quietly. 17 ships so far, all trying to sneak in. Want to tell me what's happening up there?" Emily's expression darkened. The council meeting today was difficult. They called humans violent primitives and suggested we shouldn't be allowed to expand beyond Mars. High Counselor Bloomist even said Earth should be under constant supervision. James leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his gray hair. "So they're scared of us. Scared enough to do something stupid." "Maybe," Emily replied. "The plant species, the Florans, proposed strict limits on human ships. Said we're too dangerous to allow free movement." She paused. "They don't know about our new detection systems, do they?" "No." James smiled slightly. "They still think their stealth technology is perfect. Should we let them know we can see them?" Before Emily could answer, another officer rushed up to James. "Sir, 2 of the alien ships are approaching Mars colony. They're charging weapons." James straightened up immediately. "Ambassador, I'll call you back. We got trouble." He turned to his crew. "Battle stations. Alert Mars defense, but do not fire unless fired upon. Repeat, do not fire first." The command center burst into action. Officers ran to their stations, and alert signals flashed across screens. On the main display, the 2 alien ships moved closer to Mars. "Sir," Mark called out, "Mars defense is ready. Hidden batteries are powered up but not targeted. Should we reveal them?" James shook his head. "Not yet. Let's see what they do first." He watched the screen carefully. The aliens didn't know that Mars colony had defense systems far beyond what they thought possible. Humanity had been quietly preparing for years. The alien ship stopped just outside Mars orbit. A message came through on all channels. "Human colony, this is a Galactic Council inspection team. Your expansion has exceeded allowed limits for a primitive species. Submit to immediate containment procedures." James pressed a button on his chair. "This is Commander James Russell of Earth Defense Command. You have entered sovereign human space without permission. Withdraw immediately." There was a pause before the alien response came. "Primitive species have no sovereign rights. Submit or face consequences." James looked at his crew, then back at the screen. "Send a tight beam message to Mars defense. Tell them to power up the gravity pulse generators, but keep them hidden." He then opened the channel to the alien ships again. "This is your final warning. Leave our space now." The alien ships moved closer, weapons still charged. James watched them carefully. They thought they were dealing with simple primitives from a heavy gravity world. They expected brute force and simple weapons. What they didn't know was that surviving on Earth hadn't just made humans physically strong. It had made them innovative, clever, and very, very good at defending themselves. "Sir," Mark said quietly, "Mars defense is ready. The gravity weapons are charged, but hidden. Should we show them what humans can really do?" James shook his head. "Not yet. Send word to Ambassador Thompson. Tell her to make one last try at diplomacy." He looked at the red dots on his screen. "But if they fire first." He left the sentence unfinished. The entire command center waited in tense silence. Humanity had hoped for peaceful contact with the galactic community, But if the aliens wanted to see what a Deathworlder species could really do, they were about to find out. Emily Thompson walked quickly through the quiet halls of the Galactic Council's archive section. It was late by station time, and most species were in their rest cycles. Her assistant, Michael Anderson, followed close behind, his footsteps equally quiet despite the low gravity. "Are you sure about this?" Michael whispered, checking his handheld scanner. "If they catch us here." "They won't," Emily replied softly. She stopped at a data terminal and pulled out a small device. "The council meeting today confirmed my suspicions. They're planning something big against Earth, and we need proof." Michael kept watch while Emily connected her device to the terminal. The tool, designed by Earth's best engineers, easily broke through the alien security systems. The council thought humans were too primitive for advanced technology. They were wrong. "Got something," Emily said after a few minutes. "Look at this." She moved aside so Michael could see the screen. The documents were shocking. Plans for a complete quarantine of Earth, lists of human colonies to be contained, schedules for taking control of Earth's resources, and worst of all, a detailed report about using Earth's gravity as a weapon. "They want to turn our homeworld into a prison," Michael said, his face pale. "They think they can trap us on Earth and steal our resources." Emily quickly copied the files. "They don't understand us at all. They think because we evolved on a high-gravity world, we must be stupid." She smiled slightly. "That's their mistake." Suddenly, the scanner in Michael's hand beeped softly. "Someone's coming," he whispered. They quickly disconnected their device and moved away from the terminal. Just in time, a floating form turned the corner. It was High Counselor Bloomist. Emily and Michael bowed respectfully, as expected from primitive species. The High Counselor's misty form rippled with obvious disgust at seeing them. "What are you Deathworlders doing in the archives?" Bloomist's voice was cold. Emily kept her face neutral. "Learning about Council history, High Counselor. We want to better understand your great civilization. The lies came easily when Earth's safety was at stake." "Hemph. At least you know your place." Bloomist floated past them. "Remember, primitives should stay in their assigned areas." After Bloomist left, Emily and Michael quickly made their way back to the human quarter. In their secure room, they examined the stolen files more carefully. "The council has already started," Michael said, reading through the documents. "Look at these shipping records. They're moving warships into position all around our solar system." Emily nodded. "And here's something interesting." She pointed to another file. "Not all council members agree with this plan. The reptilian species, especially, think it's a bad idea to provoke Earth." "Smart of them," Michael replied. "Should we tell Commander Russell about the warships?" "Already done." Emily pulled out her secure communicator. "I sent him the coordinates as soon as we found them. Earth defense will know exactly where they are." She stood and looked out the window at the strange stars. "The council thinks they're being clever. They see us as simple brutes who can be trapped and controlled." She shook her head. "They don't realize that living on a death world taught us more than just physical strength." Michael started encrypting the stolen files for transmission to Earth. "When should we reveal that we know their plans?" "Not yet," Emily said. "Let them think their secrets are safe. Let them think we're just stupid primitives who don't notice their warships." She smiled. "When the time comes, they'll learn that humans are far more dangerous than they imagined." As they worked through the night, more messages came in from Earth. Commander Russell was quietly moving the fleet into defensive positions. Earth's colonies were activating their hidden defenses. And most importantly, humanity's own special weapons, the ones the Council never suspected, were ready. The aliens thought they were dealing with simple savages from a heavy-gravity world. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The alarms at Mars colony screamed through the thin atmosphere. Red lights flashed across the dome buildings as 30 alien ships appeared from hyperspace. Commander James Russell watched from the command center as the enemy vessels moved into attack formation. "All civilians are in the underground shelters. Lieutenant Mark reported. Colony defenses are ready but still hidden. James nodded. Send the emergency signal to Ambassador Thompson. The council just crossed the line. At the Galactic Council station, Emily Thompson walked into the emergency session with her head held high. The chamber was in chaos. Different alien species shouted and argued about the containment operation at Mars. High Counselor Blue Mist's misty form pulsed with bright colors. Silence. The room quieted. We are here to announce the quarantine of the dangerous human species. Emily stepped forward. This is an act of war against Earth. Withdraw your ships immediately. Silence. Primitive. A plant-like being waved its leaves angrily. Your species is too dangerous to allow free movement. The containment is for the galaxy's safety. At Mars, the alien ships moved closer. Their weapons charge, creating pretty lights in the thin air. James watched them calmly. Sir, Mark said quietly, they're in range of our gravity weapons. Not yet, James replied. Wait for the ambassador's signal. Back at the council, Emily stood her ground as aliens shouted at her. You fear us because we're different, she said clearly. Because we're stronger. But you never asked why we're strong. We know why, Blue Mist said. You're primitives from a death world. Savages who somehow gained space travel. Emily smiled. No, we're survivors who learn to adapt. Everything that tried to kill us on Earth made us stronger, smarter, more innovative. She held up her datapad. And we learned to prepare for threats. The council chamber grew quiet as Emily displayed the stolen documents on the main screen. We found your plans. The warships. The resource theft. Everything. At Mars, a message flashed on James's screen. He smiled. Now, he said quietly, show them what humans can do. Suddenly, the alien ships stopped moving. Their engines flickered and died. Hidden gravity generators around Mars activated, creating a web of controlled gravity fields that trapped the enemy fleet. Impossible. The alien commander's voice cracked over the radio. Primitives can't have gravity technology. This primitive just caught your entire fleet, James replied calmly. Power down your weapons, or we'll show you what else we can do. In the council chamber, Emily watched the alien leaders panic as they saw their fleet trapped at Mars. You thought Earth's gravity made us stupid, she said. Instead, it taught us to master gravity itself. Those ships aren't going anywhere until we let them. High Counselor Blue Mist's form wavered in shock. But you're just Deathworlders. Savages. We're humans, Emily corrected. We survived a world that tried to kill us every day. We learned. We adapted. We grew stronger. She looked around the chamber. And now you have a choice. Withdraw your forces and talk peace, or find out what else we learned from our death world. The council erupted in argument. Some species demanded immediate war. Others called for peace talks. The reptilian species simply watched, their scales shimmering with what looked like amusement. At Mars, the alien ships hung helpless in the gravity web. James received another message from Earth Command. More human ships were ready if needed, hidden in fold space where the aliens couldn't detect them. Sir, Mark said, should we power up the rest of our defenses? James shook his head. Not unless they force us to. Sometimes the best show of strength is in showing mercy. He opened a channel to the trapped ships. Your move, Council forces. Choose carefully. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were far more than just strong. They were clever, prepared, and most importantly, willing to show restraint. Until pushed too far. Technical Officer Rachel Cooper stared at her computer screen, her eyes wide with excitement. After 3 months of studying alien technology, she had finally found something incredible. Commander Russell, she called out, her voice echoing through Earth Defense Command. Sir, you need to see this. James Russell walked quickly to her station. What did you find, Cooper? Rachel pointed to the complex diagrams on her screen. Look at their shield technology. Everyone thought their shields were perfect, but they're not. She pulled up more data. There's a flaw in the energy pattern. A big one. James leaned closer, studying the numbers. Can you explain it simply? Rachel nodded eagerly. Their shields are like a bubble, but they have a rhythm. Every 42 seconds, there's a tiny gap when they reset. It's too fast to see, but she smiled. Not too fast for our computers. Can we use this? James asked. Better. Rachel typed quickly, showing more data. We can copy their shield technology and fix the flaw. Our shields will be perfect where theirs aren't. At the Galactic Council station, Emily Thompson sat in another tense meeting. The alien species were still arguing about what to do with the humans who had humiliated their fleet at Mars. Her secure pad buzzed quietly. Reading Rachel's discovery, she had to work hard not to smile. Instead, she listened as High Counselor Bloomist spoke about punishing the primitive humans. The Council demands that humans surrender all their gravity technology, Bloomist announced. It is clearly stolen from advanced species. Emily stood up slowly. No, she said simply. The chamber erupted in angry shouts. You dare refuse. A gas-form alien bellowed. Yes, Emily replied calmly. We dare. Humanity will not surrender anything. She looked around the chamber. We also won't share how we caught your ships. That's our secret. Back on Earth, James Russell met with his command staff. Deploy the new shield upgrades to all ships, he ordered. But keep it quiet. Let them think we're still using simple armor. Sir, Lieutenant Mark asked, what about the alien ships approaching Saturn? James smiled slightly. Let them come. They still think we can't detect them. He turned to Rachel. How long until our entire fleet has the new shields? 24 hours, Rachel replied. And sir, I found something else. She showed him another set of data. Their weapons depend on their shield timing. If we know the gap pattern, we can predict exactly when to hit them. James finished. Perfect. In space, human ships moved quietly into position. The aliens didn't know that Earth had hundreds of ships hidden in fold space, a technology they thought was impossible for primitives to master. Emily attended another council meeting, listening as species argued about the human problem. Some wanted immediate war. Others feared what other surprises the Deathworlders might have. Her pad buzzed again. A message from James. Fleet ready. Shields upgraded. Waiting for your signal. Emily smiled inside, but kept her face serious. The council thought humans were just strong brutes who got lucky. They didn't understand that living on Earth had taught humanity to be patient, clever, and very, very good at planning ahead. The council has 24 hours to withdraw all ships from human space, she announced suddenly. Or what? Primitive. Bloomist asked with a sneer. Or nothing, Emily said calmly. We'll just wait and watch. Like we've been doing all along. The threat was clear. Humanity had caught them once. They could do it again. As the council argued, Emily sent a short message to Earth. They took the bait. Everything's ready. The real test wasn't just about strength or technology. It was about showing the galaxy that humans were more than just Deathworlders. They were smart, prepared, and most importantly, always 3 steps ahead. The 24-hour deadline was almost up. In the council chamber, over 200 alien species waited in tense silence. High Counselor Bloomist's misty form swirled with angry colors as the final minutes ticked by. Emily Thompson stood calmly at the speaker's platform. She had removed her formal diplomatic jacket, showing the simple Earth defense uniform underneath. The aliens muttered at this lack of proper dress, but Emily didn't care any more about their rules. Humans, Bloomist announced, your time is up. Submit to council authority or face the consequences. Emily looked at the giant display screen behind her. It showed the alien fleet around Saturn, over 300 ships ready to attack. The council thought this display of force would frighten the humans into submission. No, Emily said simply. The chamber exploded with angry shouts. "How dare you? Primitive savages! Crush them now!" Emily raised her hand. The chamber grew quiet, curious about what this Deathworlder would say. "You think we're simple creatures who only understand force," she began. "You look at Earth and see a harsh world that made us strong, but you don't understand what that really means." She pressed a button on her pad. The screen changed, showing Earth's history. Our world tried to kill us every day. Storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, deadly animals. Against all that, we didn't just grow strong. She looked around the chamber. We grew smart. We learned. We adapted. We survived. "Pretty words from a primitive," Blue Mist sneered. "What words won't stop our fleet?" Emily smiled for the first time. "You're right. Words won't stop your fleet." She pressed another button. "But our ships will." The screen changed again. Around the alien fleet near Saturn, space itself seemed to tear open. Hidden doors in fold space appeared, and from them came the Earth Defense Fleet. Not just a few ships, but thousands. Impossible. An alien commander's voice cracked over the speakers. "They're ships. They're everywhere." Commander James Russell's voice came through next, calm and clear. "Alien fleet, power down your weapons. You're surrounded." The council chamber went completely silent. The screen showed human ships appearing all around the alien fleet, their new shields glowing softly. They had been waiting in fold space all along, invisible until the perfect moment. "This is your final warning," Emily said to the stunned council. "Call back your fleet, or we'll show you exactly what a Deathworlder species can do when pushed too far." "You're bluffing," Blue Mist said, but his misty form trembled. "Those ships must be holograms. Primitives can't have fold space technology." Emily shook her head. "We have a lot of things you think we can't have. Want to find out what else?" Near Saturn, the alien fleet found themselves completely surrounded. The human ships moved with perfect precision, their formation designed by computers that could outthink any alien tactical system. "Sir," Rachel Cooper's voice came through to James. "Their shields are cycling exactly as predicted. We can take out their weapons without harming their ships." "Do it," James ordered. The human fleet fired. Their shots passed perfectly through the tiny gaps in the alien shields. Within seconds, every weapon on every alien ship went dead. In the council chamber, the aliens watched in horror as their mighty fleet was disabled without a single ship being destroyed. The humans hadn't just beaten them. They had done it without killing anyone. Emily looked at the silent council members. "Now," she said quietly, "shall we talk about peace? Real peace between equals." The reptilian species were the first to stand, their scales shimmering with approval. One by one, other species stood too. Even some of the gas forms changed color to show agreement. Only Blue Mist remained opposed. "You'll regret this, Deathworlder," the High Counselor hissed. Emily smiled again. "No, I don't think we will. Because unlike you, we learned something important from our harsh world." She paused. "We learned when to show strength and when to show mercy." The next day, the Galactic Council chamber was different. The floating seats had been replaced with stronger ones that could hold any species. Even the artificial gravity was adjusted to a level comfortable for everyone. Small changes, but they sent a big message. Emily Thompson stood at the center of the chamber, but this time she wasn't alone. Commander James Russell and Technical Officer Rachel Cooper stood with her. The council members watched nervously as these three Deathworlders prepared to speak. "Yesterday," Emily began, "you saw a small part of what humanity can do. Today, we'll show you everything." Rachel stepped forward with her datapad. The main screen lit up with images of human technology. "Your scientists said we couldn't understand advanced physics. Well, we not only understood it, we improved it." The screen showed the new human shields, the gravity weapons, and the fold space technology. The aliens watched in stunned silence as Rachel explained how humans had solved problems their best scientists couldn't fix. But why hide all this? A tree-like being asked. Why pretend to be simple primitives? James answered that one. Because we learned from Earth's history. When powerful civilizations meet weaker ones, the weaker ones usually suffer. He looked around the chamber. We needed to know what kind of people you were. And we found out, Emily added. Your plans to trap us on Earth, to steal our resources, they showed us exactly what we needed to know. High Counselor Bloomist, now forced to sit in a regular chair, spoke up. You tricked us, spied on us. Yes, Emily said simply, just like you spied on us. The difference is, we learned from what we saw. You just saw what you wanted to see. Rachel displayed more data. We didn't just master gravity in space. We learned to build ships that can outrun anything in the galaxy, computers that can outthink any tactical system, and weapons that could have destroyed your fleet, but we chose not to use them. The reptilian ambassador stood up. That's the real revelation, isn't it? Not just your strength or your technology, but your restraint. James nodded. On Earth, the strongest creatures aren't always the ones that survive. Sometimes it's the ones who know when not to use their strength. Emily took over again. Earth's gravity didn't just make us strong. Its dangers made us smart. Its challenges made us innovative. And most importantly, its harshness taught us compassion. She pressed a button, and the screen showed Earth's natural wonders. Mountains, oceans, forests, and deserts. This is our death world. Beautiful, dangerous, and filled with life that learned to work together to survive. What do you want? Another council member asked quietly. What we always wanted, Emily replied. True peace, fair trade, and respect, not fear, between all species. The chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then the reptilian ambassador spoke again. I support this. The humans have proven themselves not just powerful, but wise. One by one, other species stood to agree. Even some of the gas forms changed color to show support. The humans had shown them something they never expected from a Deathworld species, the perfect balance of strength and mercy. There will be changes, Emily announced. Fair changes, equal treatment for all species, no matter what kind of world they come from. In the back of the chamber, several council members were already talking excitedly with Rachel about her discoveries. They had finally understood that humans weren't just strong. They were brilliant inventors and problem solvers. James watched it all with a small smile. Think they finally get it? He asked Emily quietly. Emily nodded. They're learning, just like we did. She looked around at the chamber, where former enemies were becoming allies. Sometimes the best way to show your strength is to show your heart. The galaxy was changing. The day the Deathworlders showed their claws had become the day they also showed their wisdom. And that, more than any weapon or technology, was their greatest strength of all. 1 month after the confrontation, the Galactic Council looked very different. The Grand Chamber now had seats for all species, and the old hierarchy was gone. At the center of it all stood Emily Thompson, newly elected as the head of the Council's Peace Committee. The changes we're making today will affect all species, Emily said to the assembled delegates. High Counselor Bloomist was gone, replaced by a council of 5 members from different species, including a human representative. Michael Anderson, now Earth's second ambassador, watched from his seat as Emily presented the new laws. All species will have equal rights, she announced. No more talk of primitives or Deathworlders. No more discrimination based on home gravity or planet type. In Earth's orbit, Commander James Russell and Rachel Cooper were leading a very different kind of meeting. Scientists from 50 different species crowded around displays showing human technology. The gravity drive works like this, Rachel explained to an excited group. We learned it from studying Earth's core. She smiled as the alien scientists took notes eagerly. Now that humans were sharing their knowledge, both sides were learning from each other. Amazing. A gas-form scientist said, its colors shifting with excitement. We never thought to use gravity that way. James watched as human and alien engineers worked together on new projects. That's the real victory, he said quietly to Rachel. Not beating them in battle, but working together like this. Back in the council chamber, Emily was showing images of the first joint human-alien colony on Mars. This is what we can do together, she said. Humans provide the heavy construction work that would kill most species. Our alien friends provide their own special skills. Together, we're building something new. The reptilian ambassador, now a close friend of humanity, stood up. A month ago, we thought humans were just strong brutes from a harsh world. Now we understand. Earth didn't just make them strong, it made them adaptable, creative, and most importantly, it taught them to work with others to survive. In the Mars colony, human workers easily carried heavy equipment, while floating alien engineers worked on delicate machinery. Everyone did what they were best at, and the colony was growing faster than anyone had expected. We learned something too. The tree-like being admitted in the council chamber. We learned that judging a species by their home world is foolish. The humans surprised us not with their strength, but with their wisdom. Emily nodded. Earth taught us many lessons. Yes, it made us strong enough to survive high gravity. But it also taught us to be clever, to solve problems, and to help each other. She looked around the chamber. Those are the lessons we want to share with the galaxy. The new council voted on more changes. Trade routes were opened. Technology was shared. And most importantly, a new defense fleet was created, with ships crewed by both humans and aliens working together. In Earth's orbit, James watched as the first mixed crew ships began their training. Human strength and alien special abilities worked perfectly together. Think it will last? He asked Rachel. Look at them, Rachel replied, pointing to a human engineer excitedly discussing shield technology with a gas-form alien. They're already forgetting they were ever enemies. The final vote in the council was unanimous. The new laws would protect all species equally. No more talk of primitives or Deathworlders. Just people working together, each bringing their own strengths to make the galaxy better. Emily stood at the window of her new office, looking out at the stars. Earth was visible in the distance, a beautiful blue marble that had taught humanity its most important lessons. Not just how to be strong, but how to be wise. Not just how to survive, but how to help others survive too. Ready for tomorrow's meeting? Michael asked, joining her at the window. Emily smiled. Always ready. We have a whole galaxy of new friends to work with now. She looked at her home planet again. Earth taught us how to survive. Now we can teach others how to thrive. The day the Deathworlders showed their claws had become the day the galaxy learned a better way. Together.